5, 6, 7, 8. It's a mess. Oh, it's a mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. It's a mess, sis. So, what exactly is a mess? A mess is a situation or a state of affairs that is confused or full of difficulties.
The mess is when things don't go the way you plan. It is when you have to go off script, improvise, ad lib, sit through the awkwardness, and breathe through the pain until you come out on the other side, because you will come out on the other side. It is everything that makes life interesting and transformative. It is what we are here to do. It is how we learn how to be.
So, join us as we dive into this week's mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Jessica, and I'm a mess, and I'm working every day to discover who I am underneath this mess. I am a co-host on my favorite podcast. I'm a writer, a singer, and I'm doing it all while living in LA and figuring this shit out. I've had plenty of strategies about how things would go. My life had other plans, so I'm wading through this mess with y'all, one thought-provoking topic at a time.
All right, my name is Rena, and I'm your other host. I'm a licensed social worker from the DMV. I'm a writer, wannabe trap poet, or wordsmith if you want to call it that. I'm also an avid sneakerhead, film buff, music junkie, photographer, and just overall content creator. I've been on my own personal self-development journey for the past few years. And now I seek an outlet to share what I've learned, struggled with, and what I continue to absorb, because I believe that it can not only help myself, but others who share a similar story. So that is me.
Dope, and that is us. So we're going to move right along, and I'm going to ask Rena, what is the mess this week?
Man, the mess is that I'm a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been really been shown my shadow self. I feel like I've been doing a lot of shadow work. So shadow work is that from YouTube. It's told me that it's like the things about you that you don't want to own up to or that you don't want to acknowledge. So yeah, that's just been on the forefront, just a lot of me sitting with that and yeah, giving myself the grace that I so eagerly give to others.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I'm an ain't shit nigga at times. It happens.
Listen, it do happen. And I think that's really beautiful, though, just recognizing and being able to sit with it. And it is a mess, and it feels uncomfortable, and it doesn't feel great.
No.
But to be able to acknowledge it, see it for what it is, and recognize that you can improve upon that is not where you have to be. You don't have to stay there, rather. So that's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your mess.
You're welcome. What about you? What's been going on? What's the mess?
This week has been really kind of a good week, honestly.
Thank God somebody had a good week.
Listen, it's been a good week. I've met so many new people and I have so many new opportunities coming my way. I'm leaving today to go see my best friend who I haven't seen in a year. So there's just a lot of good things that are happening this week. And I've been sitting with it and just letting it overtake me, and I'm just grateful for the feeling because it's not always that way. So yeah, this week has been really great, and I'm just enjoying it.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna live vicariously through you. And you said something really important that there's good stuff, and it doesn't always have to be that way. So you're just sitting in there and absorbing it. So yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. Fill up that reserve.
For literally, because I know not what tomorrow holds.
All good things, I hope.
I think, I foresee good things. But let's let the people know, what is this episode? We are actually on episode 24. Do you want to tell them the title? What are we going to dig down today?
All right, so we have named this episode Tired of Being Sick and Tired. What is rest? This episode has been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
So many conversations about rest. And we finally decided to dig it down. So should I just go into why this episode?
Yeah, tell them why.
Okay, so because we are tired. I'm tired. Jess is tired.
Yep.
And rest seems like such a dirty word. There's such a visceral response when someone says, give it a rest or take a rest. So we wanted to get down and see what rest means to us, what it is for us, and how we really feel about it.
Yeah. And for me, I think I ran from this episode because I
Mhm.
didn't fully,
Like
boy,
Forrest Gump just kept going
man, just
and
running
going
and
and
running
going.
and running. Listen, I didn't fully understand rest. And like Rena said, or just said in her little piece, I had a totally visceral reaction to her even introducing the topic. And I was just like, no, no. But when I have those kind of reactions, I definitely know that it's time to dig it down. It's like you need to sit with that because that makes you uncomfortable, like hella uncomfortable. So I
Mhm.
think I'm really excited that she brought it up and that I ran and that I had to sit down and like, do the damn things. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to just really sit with this and understand why I have such an issue with rest. So I'm excited. Let them know how we're gonna do this episode, Nina.
I mean, well, as always, we're going to dig it down, which stands for define, impact, cope.
Mhm.
So, in this episode, we will provide our personal definitions of rest. Then we will discuss the impact of the word and the action of taking rest in our lives. And then we'll talk about how we cope with our thoughts and our experiences around rest. As usual, feel free to pause throughout the sections. We'll make it clear to you where we are. We'll say define, or we're moving on to impact. And now we're in the cope. You can just take those moments to pause. You can jot down your thoughts, any answers you may have, just anything, just follow it with us. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay, that's
it.
lovely. Lovely. I hope you guys got that. So we're gonna dig it down now. We'll start with D, and that is define, and I will tell you what my definition is. So, if you're new, I generally like to go with the textbook definition of things, and the definition of rest is to cease work or movement in order to relax, refresh oneself, or recover strength. And that definition resonates with my logical self, but my other self or my emotional self hasn't historically vibed with rest. And um,
Clearly.
because of because of that, I feel like we've had to I've not done a good job of resting, and I had to evaluate what my true understanding and definition is, or at least
Yeah, for
it
sure.
has been.
Yeah.
Um, so I've come to the understanding because of this episode that I view rest as weakness, or I view rest as weakness. And to rest when I have all the functions to continue, my body still works, my mind still works, I can do it. But to rest despite all of those things was to be weak. To not push through and accomplish goals or dreams or even everyday chores was to be failing at life. And I don't really think I ever thought about it, um, or thought about the negative implications of it, because I don't believe that the thought process came from a negative place. Um, so those of you who've been following along, you know that my mom was sick when I was growing up. And I don't mean like simple sickness, like it was like terminal sickness that eventually took her life. But even with all of that, I saw this woman do everything, like everything. She worked to provide food to eat, a place to sleep for three children. It's alone. After her and my father divorced, she did all this alone while being sick. And not only that, she found time to help me with all of my school projects, whether they be last minute or not. And I was known for a good last minute, oh yeah, I got a project due tomorrow. She found time to be on every committee in church and was the leader of our step team. Not only that, she made up and told us bedtime stories. She produced plays and so much more. I can't really fit it in the definition. But doing all this, all while having to be on a dialysis machine 3 times a week. So for me, I guess so for her to be able to do all those things while being so incredibly sick, anything else really feels like not enough. And yeah, so that's my definition, or that's why I have in the past and recently had to sit with my understanding of realizing that rest equaled weakness, because I found that my mother was strong. But I think I'm going toward the impact. So let me just slow down and then let you get in there and tell us your definition.
Man, I'm really just sitting in that.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you feel like you don't have an excuse, to rest. I mean, if this woman who did all of that won't rest, and you're like, I don't even have a third of that. Well, not saying that. I mean, we all have stuff on our plate in different ways.
Yeah.
But, if you judge yourself and you compare yourself, I wonder what's the difference between like rest or an excuse. That's it. What's the difference between an excuse and grace?
That would be something to sit with.
I'm always coming up with different stuff. Like, okay, let me move on to my definition of rest. Very similar to what you said. To me, rest means to stop, do nothing, to be still, to be silent. It means that there's no action, there's no progress, no moving forward. But it also means healing and replenishing and taking care of myself and re-energizing. Mm-hmm. So it's just, there's a duality to it. Yeah. Which I feel like I will also cover in the impact. So I figure we should just move into that. We are in the impact section now. So Jess, want to...
Yeah, I do want to say, though, that I appreciate your definition, having that duality. And I think that's something that I'm trying to appreciate in life in general, is the duality of things and not so very much single-minded of like, this is what it is and this is what it's not. Just being able to appreciate the fact that it is both doing nothing and it's taking care of myself and it's this and it's, it's incredible to be able to witness that and also to hear from the universe through others. So thank you for that. So yeah, like Rena said, we are in the impact. And I think for me, the impact is that I strive to live a life as admirable as the one lived by my mom. She was and is my definition of a superhero.
Sure, she's my definition.
Listen, superhero. My superhero, and I really do aspire to live that kind of life. So historically, I have done it all, and I felt the need to continue to do more, all by myself, never asking and needing no one. I piled on the pressure to show up in every way for my family and my friends, most often, though, never showing up in the same way for myself. And when asked to do this episode earlier, I had to decline because I wasn't ready to sit down the implication that if I rest, I'd be a failure. I think I had to wrestle with the idea that I struggle with rest, even on my off days. And I've said this in a few of our podcasts, what's the mess segments, that even on my off days, I'd be doing what I couldn't during the week. Yeah. Always trying to fill the time with productivity to feel worthwhile, to feel like I was keeping with my purpose. And sitting down and doing nothing didn't feel like that, didn't feel like keeping with my purpose. Mm-hmm. But the last 3 weeks or so, my body and mind have been tired. And I've called to the universe to understand rest. And this time, a nigga listened, I listened this time. Listen, I've had several days that I didn't go to work because I didn't feel like it, or I had a late start and I did absolutely nothing in those times except sit on the couch and just take a nap, eat, watch some TV. And I think the most important part was I didn't beat myself up about it. Mm-hmm. I talked kindly to myself and I gave myself permission to feel at ease in such a space. And I think the impact is that I'm leaning into that, and it's been incredible to just be like, you are worthy of taking time off. You're tired. Actually feeling tired and saying it's okay and doing something about it is where I am now. The impact is that I'm like, okay, I can still live an incredible life. I can still be an incredible person. I can also be rested. Like, that's a whole... Right? Yeah. So, what? I mean, and it's not just like poof and I'm done with, the whole idea that rest is weakness. It's an everyday thing. And it's really sitting with the idea that my worth is not tied to productivity, like I said, and it's not tied to financials, and it's not tied to anything else but that the fact that I'm just worthy.
Yeah.
I'm worthy
Yeah.
because I'm worthy. Point blank, period. That's
Just
it.
because you are, you
Just because
exist.
I am. And so the impact is, yeah, I'm trying though. I'm trying.
Man, that's amazing. No, I mean, because you ran so far from it, and it just seems like rest really ended up giving you what you needed, and that it was something only you could give yourself permission to do. Because, all the talks we've had, I'm like, you need to rest. You need to rest. I'm like, look, Spirit gonna take your ass out. You need to rest. And you're like, nah, I'm gonna rest. And then I say, okay. You're like, I took a day off. Okay, what did you do? Oh, I did this and meal prepped and that, and then jumped on this song and did. I'm like, okay. So that's why I'm just like, I'm gonna leave it alone,
Yeah.
She'll get it.
Sometimes you just it has to be for me, and we all know if you've been following along. I am hard headed. I am hard headed, and sometimes I just feel like I know best. Even still, with everything that has been happening, I still have to work through the idea that I know best. If I just do this one more thing or something. So yeah, you were talking to me about it, and when you were like, "Okay, spirit gone," da, 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 I was like, "Let me sit my ass down." I don't want to. I don't want to have to sit down. You know what I mean? I was
Right.
like, let's go ahead and choose to sit down and rest because sometimes the universe will set your ass down, sit down somewhere,
Take you out
and I
at the
don't
knees.
listen. I don't want to be took out.
No, and that's why, like, I'm stubborn. I'm
Mhm.
stubborn, I'm hard headed. And that's why I'm saying it. I'm like, look, I've been taken out at the kneecaps,
Mhm.
like, but I'm glad you came around to it.
Yeah.
I think you were getting messages from everywhere, you know, through me, your own body. And you listened better than I did. See, I didn't listen,
Mhm.
but
So
I'm
is that
listening.
leading to your impact then?
Yes, yes. My impact. Let's get into it.
Let's
Um,
do it.
okay, so I'm gonna dial it back to the duality of things, which I really appreciate you bringing up because even though I did bring up that duality, like I don't know. I don't think I really saw it as that.
Mm.
Like, I actually labeled it as conflicting. But
Okay.
no, it's a duality. It's
Yeah.
like, it's both of them. So while looking at the duality and my judgment of it being conflicting,
Uh-huh.
the impact of my personal definition of rest has been that I've just been unbalanced and confused when it comes to rest. Like I want it, but I don't want it, or I don't think I deserve it. It's
Mm.
always that thing that I'm chasing. It's like, oh, when I do this, and this, check off all those boxes and do all of these things, then I can rest. And I think
Yeah.
when I think of rest, I'm thinking of death in a way or like retirement, you
Mm.
know. And I think
Mhm.
that's kind of scary because
Yeah.
it's like I've done everything. Now I can just not.
Yeah.
But that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
So the way I approach rest is to make, like I said, an impossibly long list of everything I want to accomplish ever in life
Jesus.
in one day. I got to do it all in one day. And only when I cross off every item on that thoroughly extensive and outrageously comprehensive list will I allow myself rest.
My God.
So that is what I think in my head.
Yeah.
What usually ends up happening in reality is that I become so overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the list that I end up doing completely nothing,
Yeah.
or so much energy is taken up just contemplating how I will move forward with this task.
Mhm.
And I overanalyze, aka procrastinate,
Yeah.
or I slowly move towards completing things that I never will because perfectionism.
Yeah.
And then I become so utterly exhausted that I take a nap for 3 days and wake up to the feeling of extreme guilt and inadequacy.
Oh no.
So, right, you're right. Um, but then, as I was thinking about this impact, that duality crept in.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there are these rare times when I decide to take a rest, a breath, or I walk away from a tough task. And I usually come back refreshed, energized, underwhelmed, and with new eyes and understanding of what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I know it helped me. but like consciously or intentionally taking a rest,
Mhm.
like it's so outside of my norm that I don't remember the benefits. Like I only remember it in those moments where I accidentally do it.
Okay.
Like I accidentally take this rest.
Yeah.
But my default is to say, no, you can't rest until you're successful or
Yeah.
you're a billionaire or whatever it is that I think I need to be immediately.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, that's just a fight when it comes to rest for me. That's the impact. It's just
Yeah.
this thing that I don't think I'm deserving of, and I know it's necessary. So I've been, asking myself, why do I refuse to rest? If I low key know it's necessary, and I know that if I just take a moment to rest, it doesn't even have to be that long, and it'll keep me going, it'll keep me on pace. Like why don't I do it? And I think the
Mhm.
impact is just fear. Like I think that procrastination and perfectionism, that fear of actually completing this thing and what's next, and fear of that success that I'm seeking. It's like I want it and I don't want it. It just comes down to me really standing in what I want
Mhm.
and feeling like I'm worthy of it. So I don't think I'm worthy of
Yeah.
rest, and I know rest is what I need for success. And it's just this whole cycle of just fear and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that.
Dear Lord.
A lot. I know. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's my pieces that I'm trying to put together.
Mhm.
So that's the impact.
That is, I think that's incredible though, to be able to put a word to it and to say that it is fear. Because I feel like all of our emotions are just kind of very basic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when we get down to the basics of it, then we can like tackle it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's for me what I'm like realizing after digging down so many things. It basically comes down to so many like very basic emotions that if you tackle that, the core of it, the core of fear, then you can. And because I think honestly, when I think about it too, I also have the fear of failure, the fear of inadequacy, the fear of all of these things that I feel like rest. And then and there's this thing about judgment also. I see people resting and they are not where I want to be. And I'm like, that doesn't look, that doesn't look like what I want, you know? So it's the fear of being that thing too. And it's like, will I
My
fall out
gosh.
of balance if you know what I'm saying? If I take too much rest, like how do I do this? So yeah, fear is
Yes.
that thing. I'm glad you said that. That actually like that's resonating with me very
I,
strongly right now.
I'm afraid that I won't get up. I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid that I'll go down and I won't get up,
Yeah.
and that I'll be like homeless. And like you said, you judge people who
Yes.
look like they're taking a rest and they're not taking a rest. Just because
Right.
they're sitting down, it doesn't necessarily mean they're taking a rest. But it's just I have this fear that like I'm not going to get up and that I'm not going to finish. And but then at the same time, realizing by not taking rest, I'm not going to be able to do it either. That way either. It's just fear.
Ooh. Ooh, the balance. See, this all goes back to alignment.
Oh gosh, yes.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it all goes back to alignment because once you get into alignment, you can believe yourself when yourself says, I need to rest. And I think that's what it is for me. Just believing myself when I'm like, I'm tired. Believing myself when I'm
Right.
like, I don't want to do that. Believing that when
Right.
I want to do something, I will do it.
Right.
And it's just all these things. And like I said, I think alignment is the key to just getting into that like good groove,
No, you're
um, where you're resting and doing what you want and purpose and blah blah blah, all this stuff.
because everything is duality. There's two
Everything is doing.
sides to everything. So we're on this like seesaw and we're
Yeah.
just constantly in alignment, just trying to balance ourselves always.
Right. Exactly.
We think
Exactly.
it has to be all one way or the other, and it's not that way. I'm sure Bill Gates rests. I'm sure Jay-Z rests, you know.
Are those your idols or
I
those
mean,
are random?
are they?
I
I
would
just
have
think
never put them in the
billionaires.
same. Oh, okay. Well, I guess they are in the same category. Pardon me. Pardon me.
I think they have a similar mindset.
Okay.
I think they tap into something like source, I guess, which makes them move in a way where, you know, they believe things are possible.
Or they're both
Okay.
in the Illuminati.
Okay. That could be it
I just had to
too.
put a little joke in there, but you're right. They probably are
Sure, it's a
tapping into
joke.
source and really
Source of
kind of coming into
Illuminati, the
alignment.
Lizard Kings.
Listen, maybe that's source. Maybe we don't know. Um,
If this episode is the reason why I don't get to work with Jay-Z, I'm gonna
oh
flick you in the
my
forehead. No, I'm
God.
just kidding.
Oh my God. I'll tell
It's
him
a
I
joke.
was just joking.
Jay-Z, I don't know her.
Wow, 24
I'm just
episodes in. Y'all hear how she
kidding.
do me. But anyway, okay, I think we're going to move on to the cope now. So those of
Yes.
you following along, we are now saying how we cope with this understanding and definition that we have set up for ourselves. So for me, I cope with this newfound understanding, or how do I cope with this newfound understanding? Well, I do it more and more so it loses its uncomfortability. I sit with the idea that making money doesn't create my value, or creating anything doesn't create or equate to my value. I can sit and be at peace and be just as valuable as when I'm creating or working or giving of myself. I cope by finding balance within myself and within the world. And it goes back to what we were saying about duality and alignment. And it's just learning to ebb and flow with myself and to be gracious and to be kind. And I cope by just allowing what is to be, but also moving to betterment always. So yeah, that is
Yeah.
how I cope.
And yes, that practice piece, that
Mhm.
right there, like I think that's definitely part of my coping technique.
Yeah.
You got to practice it. We think rest just comes naturally, or we're just going to take it. And some people, you know, they've worked in a way where they have a really firm understanding of rest
Yeah.
and its benefits, and they don't have the same judgment. And great for them. Kudos to them. We all have our struggles. I'm glad that rest isn't theirs. But it is mine. And I realize it's something I have to be really intentional about. Um, and and by even doing this episode and really creating my own definition of rest and realizing, okay, it is a key requirement to success.
Mhm.
Like I have to have rest. If I
Mhm.
do not rest, it's over for me. Like I can't think clearly. I can't do anything. I can't accomplish anything without rest.
Right.
You know, it's critical. It's that time where I can just be to myself. And also another piece is like rest, like I said, doesn't always have to look the same way. We all think rest means you're just sitting, you know, on the sofa or watching TV, and it can look like that.
Yeah.
If that is what you need in the moment. Rest can look like different things at different times. For me, you know, I'm resting, you know, cleaning my sneakers, or
Mhm.
like I spent like this is I'm gonna sound like a real loser, but it's okay. It's a vulnerable moment. I spent like 2 hours last night lacing a pair of shoes I got.
Oh my
Look,
gosh. That's cool though. That's obviously you were excited about it.
they have like, and I still didn't even finish, but they have all these different like lacing options on the shoe. So I could lace it in different ways and create different loops and all of that. So
Okay.
for me, that was a moment of rest. I can just lace my shoes or clean them, or reading. Reading is a source of rest for me.
Yeah.
Um, meditation can be rest, and rest doesn't have to be a day. It doesn't have to be a week. It can be 15 minutes. It could be me, you know, drinking my coffee. I didn't realize this was rest. So just acknowledging all the ways in which what my personal rest is,
Mhm.
not my judgment of rest,
Mhm.
but what I really deem it to be for me.
Yeah.
Um, and also listening to my body and realizing that I do not have to run myself ragged to be worthy of rest. And that's the narrative that I've had for a while. It's like, okay, like I felt like it's something that I had to deserve.
Mhm.
Like one day I will deserve rest.
Damn.
Uh, um, so yeah, just practicing it, realizing it doesn't have to look like anyone else's, and realizing that it's absolutely critical. It's a requirement to get where I want to go.
Yeah.
And I make really poor decisions when I don't rest.
Yeah.
When I just don't take a pause. That's literally been the source of my mess. I feel like I'm going on a tangent.
It's okay.
Like, it's because I won't just rest. I just won't take a moment and just pause and slow down and think before I say some shit or just not say some shit. Like, just rest. Just give it a rest. It's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. The world will be there.
It will. Or it won't.
Or it won't. And then, boom, you got your rest. Eternal rest. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's where I took it.
I did. It was so morbid and ridiculous. But yeah, it's funny. Well, I think you're coping really well. I think giving ourselves grace is the best thing that we're going to be able to do for ourselves.
I feel like those are always our words. We always say grace, alignment, duality. Like, that's pretty much it. Is that like the key to life? Just
this is what I'm figuring. This is what I'm figuring. If y'all have a different understanding about life, y'all come on the live Sunday and let us know. We want to hear. We want to hear.
Right.
But I think we're to the recap then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so both Rena and I had not great feelings about rest. We either internalized it as being akin to failure or thought we weren't worthy of rest. Dicking this down has allowed us both to create a new view of rest. That for Rena is the understanding that rest is a requirement for success. And for me, that is that rest does not lessen my value. And I hope that when you guys do these, dicking it down for yourselves, that you come to an understanding of what rest is to you, how you have historically been receiving and getting rest and how you feel about it. And I hope that you guys have some movement in that area if you struggle with rest. And if not, kudos and more power to you. Rena has something to say. Yes.
I want to add to that because I think you said something powerful. Also, I challenge you to question who you model rest after. Because you've seen rest. Everything that we do is based off what we've seen, especially growing up. So it's like, when you think about rest, who in your life who mirrors your form of rest?
Yeah. Wow. That's really powerful because that goes back to how or why I viewed rest as failure, because I saw the success of my mom doing everything. But in the end, I am not her. And her mission was different than mine. And she might have received rest. Maybe those things that she was doing was restful for her. Like how you said with the sneakers for you, you're doing something, you're being active and doing something, but that is rest for you. And so me seeing her doing all these things, which is not rest for me, those things are work for me. Maybe it was rest for her. So you're absolutely right. Who you're modeling it after. That's really powerful. Right. I like that.
We should bring that to the Zoom, not the Zoom. I'm sorry, the live.
Yeah, for sure. Do we have any shout outs this episode?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just shout out to the people who, went to take a shower and you were exhausted and woke up on the bathroom floor 45 minutes later with the water running. Like, shout out to the people who've had like rest. Like, the universe has just had to say, sit down. Yeah. It's okay if your rest comes that way too, and with practice and with being intentional and forming your own definition of rest, hopefully you'll get to the point where spirit doesn't have to intervene and take you out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's real shit. And I think I just want to shout out to everybody who is continuing to vibe with us, continuing to listen, continuing to be a part of our lives. And those of you who are going to come to the Zoom, we are so appreciative of your continued support. You guys have no idea. And I think that's going to be it for the shout outs. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all know, and if you're new, now you do know, this is my favorite part. We're actually going to get into the meditation. So what we'll do is take a couple deep breaths, we'll set an intention, and then we'll let you go about your day. So take in a big deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. We'll take one last deep breath. And now we'll set our intentions. My intention is to rest as often as my body, soul, and spirit need, to feel my worth every time I rest, and to be thankful I am in a space to feel rested.
And my intention is just to rest when I need it, and to not feel bad about it, to be okay with it and understand it's part of the plan.
Lovely. We'll take our last set of breaths. Take another big deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take our last deep breath. All right, your intentions have been set for the day. Go out there and flourish, sis. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So Liz, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in again. We are so appreciative of your continued support, all your downloads and all your feedback and coming to the lives and all of that. I can't begin to express how grateful we are that you guys are still rocking with us. We are also nearly to 200 followers on Instagram. Yes, so that's actually very exciting. And if you know somebody who would vibe with this podcast, let them know.
Yes.
Tag them on Instagram. Tell them to follow, like all of those things. It would be much appreciated. And I think, is there any other closing remarks that we have?
We do.
Okay.
You have some closing remarks.
Okay, I do. I didn't know if you had something else to say. I wanted to open the floor. Okay.
Well,
so what?
Just one little observation. I'm gonna shout myself out.
Okay.
I did that whole meditation without laughing.
I heard you, dude. I was like, look at Rita breathing. I heard all the breaths come through. Look at you, 24 episodes in, that girl breathing. Oh, wait.
Well, said it takes 24 episodes to make a habit, so that's why y'all should listen. Just keep listening.
Keep listening. One last thing before we let you go. November 1st, we want you to come dressed up as your fear or your favorite character. And let's dig down the topic, what are you scared of? That's November 1st, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific time. We would love to see your beautiful faces. This is another live event where we can vibe. The last live event was so incredible. People took things from that, went home, experienced new things, came back to the next live and told us all about it. So it is an experience you don't want to miss. So come out November 1st, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, and let's dig down, what are you scared of? And I think that's going to be it for this episode. Yeah?
Yeah, that is it. I hope to see you guys at the Zoom. I love interacting with you guys in real time. I'm so excited. I don't know what I'm going to dress up as. So many fears. So, yeah, I'm excited for this.
Same. But until next time, we're going to catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.
It's a mess.
Hey, that's why I can't sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing though. Okay, it's ready now.